Hello, welcome. This is Johnny, creator and founder of the Team Superdad program and community. If you've not joined me on a live stream before, then welcome. I am here. What is it? It's Tuesday. So Tuesday is parenting. As you can see from the title, it's all about how strict you should be. I can't say. Listen, I'm not a parenting expert. I'm just a dad, just like you guys, but it's interesting as I spend a lot of time around parenting communities and different forums, people posting things, and that's what I aim to bring to some of these live streams. My energies and efforts are going to be to do this on a much more regular basis. I've been set a challenge to work at daily streams, so let's see how that goes. Anyway, parenting. So, how strict should you be? This has really been inspired or instigated by a post, a dad in one of the groups. His daughter, and obviously I don't know all the context here, so I'm not judging this guy at all, but it is interesting to look at how strict a parent should be. I've pretty, let's call it, lenient approach to parenting. When I grew up, my dad, I think to be fair, he would he would swing wildly. I don't remember him being that strict, but I do remember him losing his rag when we were teenagers, and that being pretty, I guess, frightening, to be quite honest, at those extremes. But I was also left feeling quite often that I wasn't really sure what I was being shouted at about. Now, I do remember occasions of chasing my brother around the house, throwing fruit at him, which probably definitely left stains on the wall, smashing the plants up in the garden. That would have no doubt been breaking a rule. So there's various rules like that, that perhaps if he'd been stricter, maybe I would have stuck to it. I don't really know. I was pretty rebellious. The guidelines and rules around our life were a bit chaotic after my mum died. But becoming a teenager, I can relate better to that, and seeing what this guy was posted about his daughter's use of Wi-Fi outside of the house. He'd put a ban on her using anyone else's Wi-Fi, whether that be a shop or someone's house, and I couldn't really make out exactly how severe, but she was grounded and had her phone taken off her for going on someone else's Wi-Fi. So make of that what you will. And like I say, I don't know the full details, but it was really interesting for me to look at that and think, well, my kids are 8 and 10, or they're going to be in the next week. When we're out and about, I put their Wi-Fi on. I set it up so that they can access Wi-Fi when we're out and about. When I'm out and about, I'm using Wi-Fi in all sorts of places. And yeah, maybe you should have a VPN to protect your data and all those sorts of things. But at a basic level, Wi-Fi starts to become a utility, something that everybody wants to have. So she's gone on there and done that. He's taken her phone off her for 4 months, and to some degree, they're in breakdown. And he summed it up at the end by saying she's now falling into line. But I had friends when I was a teenager, and it's interesting to think and observe how strict some of their parents were and how much trouble those kids got into, and how at times it seemed like they would almost get in trouble on purpose, simply because perhaps they were pissed off at how strict their parents were, or subconsciously they were looking to push the boundaries with their parents as far as possible. And I got to think about my relationship with my dad, how close we are. He is a bit of a maverick, but I also look to America and to my family in America for inspiration and see how close they are. And it's hard to really get a gauge on something when you're only there for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, and just really how strict those relationships were. But what I can see is that, and this is the point of my video, is that they have really strong values and really strong, what's the other word? I forgot what I've put in the title now, but it is really a sense of who we are and what we do. And so where I'm at with my kids is I'm constantly looking to reinforce the ways in which we speak to each other, the ways in which we behave around other people, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, not because we're breaking any rules, but more about who that, how that makes us look to other people. And an even more positive way is that when we go about our day being very positive, we're being very open with people, we're walking into places and saying, hey, good morning, finding out people's names if we're seeing them on a regular basis, and really establishing those connections, really being larger than life wherever possible, then I think that those kind of morals and values are what our children translate into rules themselves. So if anything, where they are, I don't know about going severe as shoplifting, but it could be about bullying. It could be about standing up for yourself or for others in those situations. It could be about cheating in games. And so it could be about sticking up for your friends. I think that's really important as well. And so when those choices, when our children face those choices, I don't want it to be as much about, am I going to break daddy's rules or am I going to break my dad's rules? I want it to be about, am I going to break my own morals and values if I do that? And I think that's a far more positive way to create, conditions, to create parameters around what our kids do and what they say and who they are in the world. And so that's really my observation on that guy's post about his daughter's Wi-Fi and grounding her and taking her phone off of her. I am absolutely useless at grounding my kids. I mean, they're only 10 and 8, but I know for myself, I was never really grounded as a kid. We did deal with problems when they came up. When I got in trouble, we dealt with it. But I'm not really sure that grounding people works that much. It's just going to end up with them even more pissed off and more likely to go and do things behind your back. And when you found out they've done things behind your back, you're more likely to react in a very angry way, which is going to just lead to more grounding. And ultimately what that's going to do is just going to break down that relationship between you and your kids. So that's what I'm here. That's what I'm all about for me and my kids, is just building and reinforcing that relationship around trust, around love, around having fun. And I think inside of that, sticking to the rules becomes something that's really quite natural. Certainly that's where we're at. Let's tune back in when they're 13, 14 and 15. But I hope that the groundwork we're putting in place now is something that carries forward into their teenage lives. Certainly seemed to go that way for me, and it certainly has gone that way for my family in America, who have been such an inspiration and role model to me as a dad. If that's been of interest to you, tune back in tomorrow. It's Wednesday. We'll be looking at money and work, and come on over to the podcast. There's more and more episodes appearing on the podcast. That's shows.pippa.io/Team Superdad, Pippa being PIPPA. If you've got any questions or things that you want discussed, come on over to the Facebook page. That's facebook.com Team Superdad, or the Facebook group. That's facebook.com groups/Team Superdad. Or you can go to the teamsuperdad.com website and find out about everything that we're up to around the rebuild program and around the community for dads rebuilding after divorce, separation or loss. My name's Johnny Jensen. No, it's not. My name is Johnny Jensen. Team Superdad out. Bye.